Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the But First She Failed podcast. Have you ever had this big dream and you decided to chase it and you were super excited about it? You stepped out on that dream. And then a little bit after you started feeling stuck, you started feeling discouraged, or maybe you even felt ready to quit, or maybe you did quit. If so, I get it. I was the queen of starting projects and quitting. That was my story for so many years. I remember back in 2014, I remember I started this blog. I invested money into it. I created the whole blog page, all those things, put time and energy into it. I even traveled to LA, interviewed these celebrities for my blog, and all the things got all these audio bites and notes, and I was super excited to come back and do it. And then guess what? I didn't do it. I didn't post those stories. I didn't write out those interviews on that blog. I ended up quitting a few weeks later, right after that trip actually. And I remember in 2015, 2016, I started a YouTube channel. And then I also quit. I got discouraged and I quit. Now, on the flip side, I remember when I started this very podcast and I took a course, and they all, in their offerings, they offered a monthly coaching call where I could talk to my mentor, the one that helped me launch this podcast, and really get that feedback on the things that anything that I was stumbling on, and just meeting other podcasters on the call. And let me tell you, the outcomes are completely different. Clearly, years later, I'm still doing this podcast. I still love it. I'm still pouring in my love and energy into this, and I'm still motivated. And I think as I was doing this episode, writing out this episode, I started thinking, what could have been the difference if I wouldn't have had that community, if I didn't have that accountability call, if I didn't have that access and that reach to the coach in that season? Could the fates of this podcast been similar to that old YouTube channel or the blog? Maybe, I don't know, right? I now I can deduce that it probably was a big deal, probably did make all the difference to have that accountability call and that coaching, right? So that's why I thought today's episode is so special. It's so important. Today we're diving into why community and accountability aren't just helpful, they're crucial to walking in your God-given calling. Now let's get into it. The number one reason is that we weren't meant to do life alone, right? The Bible is very clear on this. It says in the Bible, two are better than one. If one falls, the other can lift it back up and help it back up. And I know that verse, I remember I had it in my wedding. I always attributed it to wedding. When you're married, your husband can help you up, or your wife, vice versa. But this a lot of times is attributed to marriage mostly, but it can also apply to your work. It can also apply to your God-given calling. It can also apply to your business and all these things, right? If you are alone doing this thing and there's no one else to get you back up, that's an issue, right? Because isolation is one of the enemy's tactics, right? When you're alone, doubt, fear, all of those things grow louder and louder. And I can attest to that because I have lived it in so many seasons with this podcast. Again, I love doing this podcast. It is really a work that I'm passionate about. I love doing this. However, it's a one-way street a lot of the time. Most of the time, 99% of the time, it's a one-way street, right? I put out an episode and I don't really know if it impacts you, if it helps you. The only thing that I can gauge to see that is really the downloads. When I put out the episode, are people downloading it? Are people listening? How many downloads I get? Which, that's, I'm like, okay, this is impacting people or it's not. That's the only thing the way that I can gauge that, or reviews. So if you haven't left a review and you love this podcast, please do so, because it really helps me see if this podcast is impacting you or not. But honestly, it can get really lonely. And there have been a lot of seasons where I felt very discouraged. I felt very lost. I'm like, is this even helping anyone? Should I keep going? Right. And these are all very real feelings when I'm not in a community, right? When I am just doing my own thing by myself, just doing the podcast. Because there have been seasons when I am in community and when I'm not in community. I've been in different accelerator programs, different things, and that has really helped me out a lot, right? I've noticed that being alone is not helpful for me with doing this podcast, right? Even though I love it, it can get very lonely. And as a reminder, actually, let me know if you like this podcast. That would be really helpful. Let me know if you are on Instagram. Feel free to tag us on But First She Failed at But First She Failed on Instagram. Find us there, follow us, and then give us you can, take a photo of you listening to this screenshot of the episode, and maybe put your takeaway. Tell me what you learned from this episode or from previous episodes. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear how it impacted you, what you learned, what were your takeaways. That is also very helpful as well. But, again, it is very hard, right? It's very hard when you are doing it by yourself. And again, it's isolation is a tactic of the enemy, and that is going to be counterproductive to walking in your God-given calling. So that is number one. We were not meant to do life alone, right? Number two is accountability pushes you beyond your comfort. left to ourselves, we procrastinate, we shrink back, we don't really walk forward with the thing that we are called to do. Accountability partners, mentors, group calls, all of this brings out the greatness in us, the bigger vision that when we want to quit, it helps us not quit, right? This, I'm going to tell on myself right now. This is actually a struggle that is very current for me right now in this season. I remember over the summer, I've mentioned it before, I was really into spin classes. I was going 3 times a week. I was loving it. And last month I I actually am dealing with some diastasis, which if you have had multiple children, you may know, or maybe one child, you may know, it can happen to women. It's basically separation of abs. So my abs don't look the same anymore because they're separated. So I can't really suck in my abs the same way that I used to. My body looks a little bit different in that regard, the mom bod in that regard. And so I did buy an app a year ago, and I wanted to do these exercises that were specifically targeted for the stomach, but it says you cannot do other exercises if you're doing this exercise, if you're going through the program to heal the diastasis recti. And I was like, I'm going to do it at home. I'm going to come home every day, and I'm just going to do it in the mornings. After I do my errands in the morning, I'm going to go and do that. And guess what? It's been 2 weeks. I have not touched it, right? And I've just kind of fallen out of the habit of working out at the gym. And so last week I came to the realization that I really need accountability. I really needed to push me beyond my comfort. In spin class, I have a teacher saying, go harder, go do this level, do that, go. And I break a sweat, and it's a good workout. Why? Because there's a bunch of people in a room. We're listening to a teacher, and there is accountability. I have to be there at a certain time. I can't play around and be like, oh no, I'm just going to do it later in the day. No, the time is set for the class, and I have to be there at that time, right? So it holds me accountable. It makes me put it on my calendar. There's all these different practices that I do, right? It pushes me beyond my limit, right? Because I can go to the gym too. My gym has spin classes, but it also has elliptical and treadmills. And I've done that where it's just, I'll listen to a book and I'll do 20 minutes on the elliptical, which is great if you're not working out. But if you want to really start getting more tone, working out, losing weight, all those things, it's important that you really break a sweat. So for me, I realized I'm like, okay, for the time being, I don't have the discipline to do this thing at home for my stomach. I can maybe do that next month or in a few weeks or in the future, but I really need to be disciplined with my workout, or maybe I'll do it at the gym. And just because I'm already at the gym, I have to figure it out. But for the time being, I'm going back to spin class, and because it keeps me accountable. It pushes me beyond my comfort. I bet and believe that you probably had moments like this where you have had a coach, or you have had someone in your life, a friend that's really pushing you forward with a project, maybe in school, whatever. In our fitness, there's so many different areas of life that we could be coached in and held accountable in. And I know for me that's so helpful. So number 2 is accountability pushes you beyond your comfort. Number 3 is community brings encouragement and perspective. This one is so good. This one, others see strengths and gifts in you that you do not recognize. I can attest to this too, because it's so easy for me to see the talents and the gifting in my friends, in people that I know. I see them, and I always speak that. That's one of the things that I love doing. I see my friends and I'm like, wow, you are so good at creating systems, and you're so organized, and you're so efficient with your time. Or another friend, I'm like, man, you are so great at building community. You are a community builder. You are amazing at that, right? I can see the strength and the gifting on other people so easily, but I can say for myself, sometimes it's hard for me to see that same gifting in me, right? Sometimes I need other people to see it, to speak it out, to speak life over it and bring it out of me, right? And it's really easy to get insecure and really not, and just think everyone has this gifting or this talent, right? Until someone else sees it and speaks it out, a lot of times we won't know it, or we won't be aware of it, right? So it's really important because it brings encouragement, it brings perspective. I can definitely attest to this too, because there was a season when I did an accelerated program for my podcast, and I met a lot of friends that were very like-minded. They were all podcasters in different parts of the world, mostly United States, but also in Canada. And we all became friends in this community, and we were all, doing our own individual podcasts and our businesses and our projects. But I remember one of my friends there, she had spoken life to me. This was 3 years ago. She was like, man, I can see you having a community one day. You are so good at coaching. You are so good at speaking life over people and bringing out the best in people and adding value. And I see that in you. And she spoke that over me 3 years ago. Yeah, close to 3 years ago. And that's something that I couldn't see in myself back then. That's something that I've had a few other people speak to that as well, that I am a connector of people. I'm a community builder. And that's something that only in the last 6 months have I really been stepping into, right? And that being said, years later, I'm like, you know what? She has a community. She has a community for women, for business owners that are at a certain level in their business. And she just is so great at building community. And I'm a part part of her community now because I'm like, man, she saw that in me. She coached me. She spoke that over me. And so it just gives you perspective that sometimes we don't see these things in ourselves, but it's important because maybe your friend that's in the community with you can see that, or maybe your, my friend at church, or you're a family member. So it's really important to not be alone, right? Community brings encouragement. It brings perspective. It shows you the blind spots. You learn a lot of stuff. Like, for example, I can learn about email flows from this community. I can learn about all these different things that are very, very specific business related within the context of community, because a lot of people are doing the same thing, right? So maybe they'll say, hey, I noticed that your email sequence isn't the best, but hey, I use this program, this platform, and it's great for me. Or I have another friend that also has a community, and she was giving me great advice on like where that should live, where my community should live, and all these things. And so they can bring you perspective, they can bring you insight, encouragement, resources, add value in different blind spots. So I think there's so much power in community and and calling when it comes to walking in your calling, that is, right? So number 4 is you grow faster in community. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so is one person sharpens another. And this is true. This is true for your friendships. I 100% believe that you should be around friends that sharpen you and not that make you duller. And I love everyone. I am never someone that, wants to like let go of any friendships, but I think it really is important to be around people that make you stronger, whatever area that is. And if they make you a better mother, if they make you a better wife, if they make you a better, if they inspire you when it comes to business, if they inspire you when it comes to your career, if they are just a good friend that is like, they inspire you to be a better friend, they listen well, do they sharpen you in an area? That's something we should really look at, right? And, like iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. And that's what I was just saying about in community. If they'll see the areas that maybe you're struggling in, they can speak to that. It's important to be with other like-minded people because they will help you grow faster. They will accelerate your growth. They'll tell people about you. They'll get the message about whatever you're doing, right? And I think this is growth accelerates when you're surrounded by people running in the same direction. I love that, right? This was true again with that accelerator program that I was in years ago. I remember it was so cool because we were all doing podcasting together. We were all kind of on the same page and working together and sharpening one another. Hey, this really worked for me. Hey, this worked for me. Hey, did you hear about this promote? Did you hear about this approach? Did you hear about this thing? I can help you with this area. And so it was really this like collaborative space. And I think it's so important, right? It helps you grow so much faster, right? And so if you are trying to, walk in that thing, or you're trying to figure out what that thing is, it's really important if you want to grow to be in a community, to have that accountability, right? And so another thing is number 5 is community protects against burnout and isolation. This one is so important too. Walking in your calling can feel lonely. I mentioned this, especially if friends and family don't get it. I can also attest to this. I remember when I was even starting this podcast, no one understood the woman that I was trying to reach. No one understood that there was a need, especially I'll speak to even my husband. I would say, hey, I think that there's women that are insecure about their calling. They're insecure about their career or their business. They want that confidence, right? They want to be seen. They want to grow they know that they're meant for more and they want to grow in that. And my husband just could not see the vision. He could not see, he didn't think that there was an audience. He didn't think that there was people that needed this content. And then obviously I started putting out my content, and then I started attracting a tribe. I started attracting listeners, right? And so there was a need for it. But sometimes that's okay. Sometimes like your husband, your best friend, your mom, your cousin, anybody, your friend from church, whoever, your mommy friends, your mom, like whoever that is, they don't have to understand your full vision because God gave you the vision for a reason. He didn't give that vision to her. He didn't give the vision to him because they weren't assigned to the vision, right? So it's important that if people don't understand your vision, that's okay. Sometimes people don't have to understand it because they're not assigned to your assignment, right? They're not meant to be a mentor in your life. They're not meant to be part of that specific journey. Maybe they're meant to be an amazing friend in these other areas of your life, but not that one. And that's okay. They don't have to get the full vision, and that's okay. Not everyone has to get it, right? But it is important that you do find people that do get it, right? Why? Because then you will be encouraged. They're going to protect you from getting to burnout, because when you are operating by yourself, it can be very lonely and it can lead to burnout. And I did an episode, I will actually throw it in the show notes, but about 2 years ago, where I talked about my season of burnout and how I was going so hard, and I just burnt out and I just could not function for about a month. And I found out that there's a lot of dangerous side effects of burnout. Depression is one of them, or worse, right? Depression, anxiety, all these different things can come from burnout. Some people get exhausted and so burnt out. There is an influencer on YouTube that I follow. She had this really cool business on scaling on like YouTube and all these things, Vanessa Lau. And I remember when I was going on my break for maternity leave with my youngest, I remember she actually announced that she was completely burning down. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Her whole business, she burnt it down, and she was like, she had a 7-figure business, I believe. She had was making millions, and she decided to burn the whole thing down because she was so burnt out. So she completely closed off all her courses, all the things. She had so much built, and she just burnt the whole thing down because she was burnt out, right? And she came back eventually, and now she's kind of doing everything in a different way, slower pace. She has a different type of business, all the things, but that being said, it's so important that, community protects you from burnout and isolation. Community reminds you that you're not crazy, that you're called. They see the vision and they help you keep going, right? So this is why I think it's so important that I've been mentioning it now. We are doing our first ever accountability call. So if you are listening to this podcast, it comes out on Tuesday. If you are listening and you're listening on day 1 and you still want to be a part of this month's September accountability call, it's a completely free Zoom call. It's taking place tomorrow. It's taking place on Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. If you're listening in the future, it's happened in 2025. And we are so excited for this call. It's the first time it's ever happening. And what it is really, it's something new that's being birthed, right? So if you are a woman that maybe you know what your calling is and you're starting to walk in it, but you don't really have community, you don't have encouragement, and you just really want to get around like-minded women that are starting to on the same journey as you, walking in their calling, figuring it out, gaining confidence and all those things, gaining tools and encouragement, and you don't have anyone in your life that gets it, then this call is for you. Or maybe you're a woman that you are in your career and things look great on paper, but you know that you're meant for more. You know that there's an alarm going off inside of you saying, wrong direction, turn course. You are meant for more. This cannot be it. You know that there's a calling on your life. There's something else you're supposed to be doing with your life, but you don't quite know what that calling is, but you would like to start a business around whatever your calling is. You would love to start a brand around that. Then this call is for you. Or maybe, you are really just desperate to start, you're not in your career yet, but you're desperate to start your calling and start walking in it because you know that there's something else for you, then this call is for you too. So it's really for anyone that is in the early stages of walking in their calling. They just started, but they need other women that get it, that can encourage them, can coach them, can get all the valuable resources on creating the business and brand around their calling. Or women that are really, feeling lost right now and want to discover that calling. So as you come into this call this month, it's going to be great because you're really going to be the architect of it. You're going to give me the feedback. You're going to tell me, hey, this is what I want. This is what I don't not want. This is what I do not want. And you're really building it from the ground up with me, right? Because I want to know how I can serve you, the listener, you, my audience. I want to know how I can serve you better, right? This is not about me. This is about you. I want to be a better servant to you guys. I want to lead you guys better. I want to help you guys and give you the resources because this is really a calling and a thing on my heart to help other women figure out their calling and walk and thrive in it. So join the call. Let me know. Be encouraged. Get some coaching. It's going to be a great call. Again, it's a free Zoom call. All you have to do is fill out the survey in the link in the show notes. I'll add it there as well. And that's all you have to do. And let me know. And again, if you come in during the beta season when I'm still building this thing, your voice is going to be loud. You can say, hey, I really need XYZ thing. And I will go above and beyond to either make you an episode about that topic, find an expert, or maybe we're going to bring in experts into the community that we are building. So you're really going to be involved from the ground up. And again, this is a free call. All it is a 1-hour commitment. Hop on the Zoom call, turn on your video, and just show up and share a little bit about your heart or even listen in. But I would love for you to join us and be on that call and be a part of creating something really cool that we are working on. I believe that this is going to be something that's going to grow and get bigger and bigger. And I believe it's going to be a blessing to so many. And I really believe that if you're listening, you can be a part of that. So then again, I'm going to add the link in the show notes, and please join us if you are interested in that. So now, number 6 is accountability keeps you faithful to the assignment. Calling isn't just about starting, it's about finishing well. When you are checking in, praying, people are praying for you and holding you to your word, it's less likely that you drift away from the thing that you were called to do, right? Because it's easy to say no, I'm called to this thing. I really want to do this thing. But then, for example, I have a friend that she feels very called to be a speech therapist. She loves this. She wants to start a business around this, all the things. But now that she spoke it, there's more pressure, right? But if she doesn't speak the thing, then it's very easy. She can just say, no, I'm going to continue my role in finance and I'm just not going to go into speech therapy, right? Or I'm going to continue my role as a teacher and I'm not going to go into that thing, right? And so I think it's really important because they help you not drift away, right? It keeps you accountable to the assignment. A really sobering fact or thing that I heard recently was I'm actually reading this book by John Bevere. It's called you are called, discover your God-given gifts and fulfill your purpose. I love this book. If you are part of the community interested in this book, maybe we can go over it in the community. I think it's just such a great resource. And I can link it in the show notes as well if you just want to buy it or listen to it on Audible. It's also great, but it's a workbook that you can really work through. Anyways, going back to that, one of the things that he says in this is that if you have a calling, a God-given calling on your life and an assignment that's going to be impactful and reach people, it's really important that you start walking in this. Why? Because if you are a believer and you believe that there's a God-given calling on your life, and when we get to heaven, not only is, yes, you'll be in heaven, we know that if you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you're going to be in heaven. That's not a question. But on the flip side, there's going to be a second judgment. And on the second judgment, it's going to say, hey, they'll call you up. And they did this really in the video. There's actually an app that goes with this, and they have like video content and resource and all the things. And they made a powerful video where they showed a man, it was like judgment. They depicted as if it's the second judgment and they're in heaven, the person passed away. And he called up this guy like John Smith, preacher John Smith. And the guy comes up and is like, preacher, I was an accountant. I was an accountant for 27 years. And the guy and the angel, or, the time of the judgment in heaven, he's like, okay, you were meant to, where are the 5 million people you were supposed to bring to the Lord? And he was like, I was an accountant for 27 years. And basically in that moment, he's like, you did not do what you were supposed to do on this earth. And then there's another person that comes up to the podium in this depiction, and he's like, accountant Steve. And the guy is like, accountant, I was a pastor for 20 years. And the God was like, you were not meant to be a pastor for 20 years. You were meant to be an accountant. You were going to reach so many people as an accountant and really like build the kingdom and do all these things as an accountant. And then the third person comes up, and it's a stay-at-home mom, and she's like, all I did was raise 3 babies at home, and that's all I did. I was a stay-at-home mom. And then you see the clip where he's like, good done, my good and faithful servant. And I think that that's so beautiful, because it doesn't matter how many, you don't have to reach 1 million people. You don't have to reach to 200,000 people. You don't have to reach a certain amount of people. It's just, what is a God-given assignment on your life? Who are you supposed to reach? Who are you supposed to impact? Because you are supposed to have a big impact on this earth. You're supposed to have it's something, you were created uniquely and beautifully for the impact that you're supposed to leave on this earth, right? So it doesn't matter whether maybe your calling is to be a stay-at-home mom, or maybe your calling is to be one of these things that we just talked about. The point is, sometimes you don't have to be in ministry full time. You don't have to be in the workplace full time, and you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. It just depends on what is the unique calling on your life. And so anyways, I think that that's sobering, but it's also encouraging, right? That there's something unique and special for all of us, and we can live and walk in that, right? So there you have it. That is, why accountability keeps you faithful to assignment, and why it's so crucial that we do continue to walk in our God-given calling and our assignment. And if we're not walking in it, that's okay, that we discover it, that we go on that journey. Why? Because there's a million benefits. I can do another episode about the benefits of walking your God-given calling as I continue this little mini series that I'm doing. But I just think it's so powerful, and I want the best for you. I want the best life for you. I want you to feel so full of energy, so encouraged. I just want the absolute best for you. And I really believe that if you discover your God-given calling, you start walking in it, you will be living that way. Anyways, there you have it. Those are, why it's important to have accountability and community. Why it's not only helpful but crucial to walk in your God-given calling. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know. Again, if you want to join us for the call happening tomorrow or happening on the 24th, please go to the show notes and fill out the 2-minute survey. It's like 1.5 minutes. It's really quick. And then I will send you the invites to the Zoom call. And I hope to see you there, and I hope to meet you. Anyways, I hope to see you next time.